Hello and Assalamualaikum everyone, and welcome to our group presentation for week 11. Today our group will be presenting a collaborative translation and also critical literary analysis of a profoundly moving Malay short story titled Mengampuni Adalah Kuasa Ilahi, which translates to Forgiveness is a Divine Power. To kick things off, let's look at the backdrop of this story. It follows a 15 years old boy, a Palestinian boy, growing up in Deir al-Balah, Gaza, next to an Israeli settlement. His normal life and dreams of becoming a football player are shattered when his family home is forcefully occupied and partitioned by the military, and he is later shot in the spine. Yet the story takes an extraordinary turn toward peace and also reconciliation. Before we dive into our translation, I'd like to ask our literary analysis, Mabel Four, to briefly ground us in the geopolitical and narrative context of the story. Mabel Four, what should we do?
Thank you very much for the moderator. So, to understand this text, I believe that we must understand the geopolitical setting. The narrative explicitly references Area A, Area B, and Area C. And these terms stem from the Oslo II Accord of 1995, which divided the West Bank and Gaza into complex jurisdiction. In the story, the military ironies are stark. Area C, normally under full Israel civil and military control, become the family-owned open floor, completely off-limit to them. Area B is under Palestinian civil control, but Israeli military control, which represent their kitchen and bathroom. Area A, theoretically under full Palestinian control, is reduced to their living room, which the narrator rightly calls a prison. This spatial claustrophobia set up the initial tone of intense oppression, making the protagonist's later transformation even more revolutionary.
Okay, thank you so much. Member number four, it was a very fascinating context. It really highlights how deeply embed the political landscape is within the domestic life of the characters. Now, let's move on into the core of our task, which is the translation. I'll handle the floor over to our primary translator, member number two, and also our reviewer, member number three, to guide us through our translated excerpts and explain their linguistic choices. The floor is yours.
Thank you to the mod. So for our collaborative translation, I think we should focus heavily on preserving the emotional weight of the narrator's voice. Because let's look at our first key excerpt, which covers the moment of the shooting and the medical aftermath. The original Malay text said that saya sedang melambai kepada pengunjung pekerja UN semasa terasa sesuatu menembus belakang saya. Kesakitan yang saya rasa sejurus itu sangat teruk sehingga saya mengucap syahadah. Ayat yang diucap Muslim pada waktu sebelum meninggal. So for the English translation, I was waving to visiting UN workers when I felt something pierce my back. The pain I felt immediately after was so agonizing that I recited the Shahada. The verses uttered by Muslims in their final moments before death. One of our main strategies here was to choosing the words recited for mengucap. In a secular context, mengucap can simply mean speaking, but in this culturally embedded religious context, I think it also implies a solemn spiritual declaration. So we also translated sangat teruk as agonizing because rather than simply very bad, to accurately reflect the acute physical and also existential trauma for a 15-year-old realizing that he might be dying. Maybe member 3 want to add something too.
Okay, thank you, member number 2, for those explanations. Now, I will be taking over as I am the translation reviewer / editor. To add to members number 2 point, as the editor, my role was to make sure the narrative flow felt cohesive in English without erasing the cultural specificities. Let's look at another excerpt where the narrator is moved to an Israeli hospital. This is the original Malay text. Seterusnya, saya dipindahkan ke hospital baharu di mana jururawat dan doktornya berbahasa Ibrani. Ayah bersama seorang jururawat Israel yang bercakap dengan nada yang lembut, sama seperti ibuku. Ini merupakan kali pertama seorang rakyat Israel tersenyum padaku. And now for the English translation. Next, I was transferred to a new hospital where the nurses and doctors spoke Hebrew. Father was an Israeli nurse who spoke in a gentle tone, just like my mother. This was the first time an Israeli had ever smiled at me. We deliberately kept the exclamation mark after Hebrew because it marks a major psychological shift. To the boy, Hebrew was previously only the language of commands and M16 rifles. Here, we wanted the English reader to feel his shock at hearing Hebrew in a space of healing and great gentleness. We also chose an Israeli for seorang rakyat Israel to make the prose punchy and emphasize the individual human-to-human interaction. So that's all from me. Member number 1, you can take over.
Okay, thank you so much, member number 2 and also member number 3. That is excellent work on the translation details. It's clear that every word choices was carefully negotiated to maintain the delicate balance of trauma and sudden warmth. Now let's expand on this by diving deeper into our critical literary analysis. I want to ask both member 4 and member 5 to unpack the core themes, character dynamics, the symbols of mengampuni adalah kuasa ilahi. Member 4, you can start.
Thank you very much, moderator. So I will start first. So for the context and the theme, for me, the central theme of this short story is undoubtedly the transformative power of forgiveness and the recognition of universal humanity. What makes the thematic progression so powerful is the characterization of the father. He acts as the moral anchor of the story. Even when his house is partitioned, he refused to leave, saying, "I will stay here no matter what happened to guard our family home." He isn't acting out of political defiance, but out of a deep, almost spiritual connection to his home. He tells his son that Palestinian and Israelis are anak-anak Abraham, children of Abraham, who have a right to peace. The phrase children of Abraham is a powerful literary device evoking shared roots, shared ancestry, and shared sacred space, directly challenging the narrative of eternal enmity. That's all from me.
Thank you, member number 4. I am the member number 5, which is literary analysis, symbolism, and also the impact. So, building on that, the story relies on a brilliant juxtaposition of symbols. First, we have the bullet lodged in the spine. The doctor couldn't remove it, and symbolically, this represents the permanent and unremovable trauma. So, the physical remnant of the conflict stays inside his body forever. However, the ultimate resolution is symbolized by the seeds of peace T-shirt given to the Israeli soldier. And the bullet is a symbol of what divides them, but the T-shirt becomes a symbol of chosen reconciliation. So when the narrator refuses to take a side, his community brands him a traitor. And this introduces a heavy social conflict, and it shows that peace building requires a unique kind of courage, and sometimes it means standing alone. The climax of the story isn't a political victory, it is the internal victory highlighted by the quote, "To err is human, to forgive is divine," which is yang membuat kesilapan adalah manusia dan yang mengampuni adalah Tuhan. So our translation choice aim to ensure that this ultimate message of grace pierces through the political noise of the text. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you so much, member number 4 and also member number 5. That was very beautiful analysis that ties together the narrative act and also structure motive of the story. And to close out our recorded presentation today, our assignment guidelines require each of us to share a brief individual reflection on how cultural context, narrative voice, and also literary elements influence our translation decision. Along with that, challenges that we see. And I will start first. As the moderator, keeping a bird eye view of the project made me realize how deeply challenging it is to manage a narrative voice that transitions from a vulnerable, terrified 15 years old into a mature agent of peace. My biggest challenge was making sure that our group discussion here today balance the heavy political realities of the Gaza setting with the story ultimate message of neutrality and also grace. It taught me that translation isn't just about changing words, but it is also about meditating conflicting human experience. That's all from me. Member number two, you're next.
For me, as a primary translator for this translation project, I think primary challenge was translating culturally and religiously embedded terms like Ucap Shahada. So like in Malay, this phrase carries like immense emotional and spiritual finality, and it means to preparing to meet the one's creator. So just simply translating it as saying a testimony, I think would completely strip the scene of its life or death gravity. So I learned how heavily a translator must rely on context to preserve the sacred weight of emotional words and the narrative voice itself. Member three.
Okay, thank you, member number two. So personally, for me as a translation reviewer, I think my main hurdle was ensuring narrative flow and stylistic cohesion across the different sections translated by our members. The short story relies on very simple declarative sentences in Malay, which mirrors a youth perspective. When translating to English, there's always a temptation to make sentences overly complex or academic. I had to restrain our edits to keep the prose raw, innocent, and direct, ensuring the reader feels the direct impact of the voice changing perspective. Okay, maybe number 4 wants to add.
Thank you very much, member number three. So here is my reflection from today's project. My reflection centers on how the administrative, political setting of areas A, B, and C influence our translation choice. These are bureaucratic terms from peace accord, yet in the story, they are mapped onto intimate household space like the kitchen and living room. The challenge was maintaining this jarring, absurd contrast in English so that the reader understands how systemic political conflict deeply distort the mundane basic human rights of a family. That's all from me. Member number five, anything you want to add?
Thank you, member number four. And for me, I found that translating the emotional evolution of the protagonist was the most intricate part as the text transitioned from deep resentment to radical empathy. And this capturing the nuance of his realization that the people saving his life spoke the exact same language as the person who shot him. And this required us to be incredibly deliberate with our verbs and adjectives. It also highlighted for me that literary translation is an act of deep psychological empathy.
Okay,
That's it from
thank
me.
you, Tim, for those insightful reflection. So to conclude all of our group discussion today, our collaborative journey through mengampuni adalah kuasa ilahi has shown us that translating a text goes far beyond linguistic substitution. It requires us to honor the historical truth of the setting, protect the integrity of the traumatized yet hopeful voice, and also convey a universal truth. Compassion can bridge even the deepest of divides. And that concludes our presentation for week 11. Thank you all, and also thank you for listening. Assalamualaikum.